morning that I had that incident with my neighbor, I had my 380 on me, and when I got down into the lobby, and I seen the guy, he kind of lunged at me, so I pulled out my gun. Yo, man, if you in front of my gun, by the time I count to 3, I'll shoot you. I'm gonna shoot you. I said 1, he was still standing there. I said 2, I said 3, pow! He was gone. He was gone and you know what I'm saying?
If you think you have seen how much trouble one person could make, then you haven't met Flavour Flav.
I'm a very motherfucker with a gun. I will dare you to do it so I can have a reason to shoot your ass.
This guy is like a one-man chaos machine, causing trouble not just in his neighborhood, but even with his own family. Flav was born William Jonathan Drayton Jr. and was one of the standout voices of the legendary group Public Enemy back in the 80s and 90s. Known for his signature catchphrase, "Yeah, boyyyyy." His giant clock necklace and wild dance moves. He was a true icon of the time, but along with his fame came a long list of criminal charges that seemed to overshadow his career. Despite being a huge figure in hip-hop, Flav became infamous for his criminal activities. He was caught up in drug battery, and even worse, causing tension within his group and supposedly leading to a fallout with Chuck D, the group's leader.
Public Enemy is only Public Enemy when myself and Chuck D is together. But when Chuck D is by himself, he's not Public Enemy. When I'm by myself, I'm not Public Enemy.
What makes Flav stand out even more is that he doesn't shy away from admitting his past. In interviews, he's openly talked about even shooting his neighbor after being dared. He discussed this in a chat with DJ Vlad.
That morning that I had that incident with my neighbor, I had my 380 on me, and when I got down into the lobby, and I seen the guy, he kind of lunged at me, so I pulled out my gun. Yo, man, if you in front of my gun, by the time I count to 3, I'll shoot you. I'm gonna shoot you. I said 1, he was still standing there. I said 2, I said 3, pow! He was gone. He was gone and shit, you know what I'm saying?
There was also the time he violated his driving restrictions in 2011, which later got him arrested.
We've got more breaking news, this one concerning rapper Flavour Flav. The Associated Press just reporting the entertainer has been arrested on allegations of driving under the influence, speeding, and possession.
You'd think he'd have calmed down, but in 2012, he was charged with domestic violence after he his then fiancée and her 17-year-old child. The most recent of all was in 2021 when he got hit with another SLT charge.
Rapper Flavour Flav is in legal trouble here in the Valley. He was arrested earlier this month for a domestic violence incident. That is according to TMZ.
It seems like his criminal past just won't let go. But how did all this start? Let's take a look back. Flavour Flav was born in Roosevelt, New York, and grew up in Freeport, not far from the town of Hempstead. The area was pretty well off, but Flav didn't exactly have it easy. He had a tough start in life, even though talent seemed to run in the family. One fact that not many people know about Flav is that he's actually cousins with Old Dirty GZA and RZA from the Wu-Tang Clan. You could say greatness was in their blood, but Flav's path to the spotlight was anything but smooth. By the time he was 5, he was already teaching himself how to play the piano. He joined his church's youth choir and played instruments like the drums and guitar, showing early signs of his creative spark. But despite his musical gifts, Flav didn't have a straight road to success. He first got caught up in a life of crime, landing in and out of jail for robbery before he even finished high school. He eventually dropped out in 11th grade but didn't jump straight into music. Instead, he gave culinary school a shot, then moved on to college at Adelphi University on Long Island. It was at Adelphi where he crossed paths with Carlton Ridenauer, who would later become known as Chuck D. The two hit it off and started collaborating on Chuck's hip-hop radio show. They even started rapping together, and it didn't take long for them to realize they might have a real shot at making it big. Flav had already been tagging graffiti under the name Flavour Flav, so when it came time to choose a stage name, it was an obvious pick. In 1985, Flav and Chuck D co-founded the iconic rap group Public Enemy, with Flav taking on the role of hype man. Just a year later, they dropped their first track, Public Enemy 1. Which was so good it caught the attention of Def Jam Records CEO, Rick Rubin.
DMC played us a song, but it was only like a minute-long version of the song Public Enemy #1, and that was his radio show theme.
While Rubin initially wanted to split the duo, Chuck D insisted they came as a package deal, and they were officially signed on.
After months, finally, they came in and they said, okay, we're ready to do this, but it's not Chuck D, it's Public Enemy.
Fans of Public Enemy couldn't get enough of Flav's larger-than-life personality, wild stage presence, and signature giant clock necklace. But not everyone was a fan. Some folks at the record label thought he was too goofy for a group with such a politically charged message. They wanted him to tone it down and get more serious, but Flav wasn't having it. He stayed true to himself, bringing his unique energy and charm to every performance. Flav eventually decided to step away from music for a bit and dive into the world of reality TV. That's when he popped up on VH1's The Surreal Life, and it was there that he met Bridget Nielsen.
That's a real life show that I fell in love with Bridget on, right? That show was #1.
Their relationship was, let's call it, quirky and complicated. Brigitte was already in a relationship at the time, but that didn't stop them from having a headline-grabbing fling. Things got even wilder when the two starred in their own VH1 show, Strange Love, where fans followed their adventures around the world. But in a not-so-shocking twist, they broke up right after the show ended, and Brigitte went back to her fiancé. Flav, though, wasn't done with TV. He launched his own reality dating show, Flavour of Love, where he searched for his soulmate in the most over-the-top way possible.
Then we shot Flavour of Love 2. And Flavour of Love 2 was my biggest season because they put me in a house with 25 more girls and I narrowed it all the way down to 1.
The show was a massive hit, pulling in record-breaking ratings for a non-sports program.
I ended up bringing VH1 its most viewers ever in its history. 7.5 million viewers.
Wow.
And VH1 has never ever seen those numbers.
Despite the show's success and all the drama that came with it, Flav's love life off-screen was far from perfect. He ended up fathering 8 children with different women, but being a dad wasn't exactly a strong suit. His first 3 kids were with Karen Ross, 3 more with Angie Parker, 1 with Elizabeth Trujillo, and another with Kate Gamble. Word got around that Flav only really stayed involved with the kids whose moms were still cool with him, which wasn't many, probably because of his messy personal life and anger issues. In 1991, things got really bad when Flav pleaded guilty to assaulting Karen Ross, serving 30 days in jail, losing custody of his kids, and sinking deeper into addiction. But Karen wasn't the only one who experienced his violent streak. Just 2 years later, in 1993, Flav was charged with attempted murder for shooting at his neighbor. He ended up serving 90 days in jail. That same year, he faced more domestic violence charges, along with coke and related arrests. His family eventually staged an intervention, and he checked into the Betty Ford Center for his crack coke addiction. But trouble seemed to follow Flav everywhere. By 2010, Angie Parker, one of his exes and mother to 3 of his kids, took him to court for unpaid child support. The court ruled in her favor, ordering Flav to pay up and even cover private school tuition for their kids. However, Flav didn't take the court order seriously. By 2012, his unpaid child support had ballooned to over $112,000. The legal drama wasn't new. Back in 1996, Flav had agreed to support 2 of his kids with Parker, but in 2008, after the birth of a 3rd child, Parker pushed for a higher amount. The court upped his payments to approximately $838 a week, plus tuition costs. Flav, however, denied the accusations of neglect, insisting he'd provided for his kids and their mom beyond what the court required. Whether or not that's true, his track record with both family and the law tell a very messy story. Now, Flav was staring down the possibility of 180 days in jail for not sticking to his child support agreement. To dodge the sentence, he showed up to court with a $25,000 payment toward his overdue support. Despite paying the lump sum, he still owed a whopping $111,100 $118 and was found in willful violation of the agreement. To stay out of jail, he also agreed to pay Angie Parker an extra $1,200 a month. But Flav's legal troubles didn't stop there. In May 2011, he got arrested for multiple driving-related offenses, including driving without a license or insurance and skipping out on parking citations.
We've got more breaking news, this one concerning rapper Flavour Flav. The Associated Press just reporting the entertainer has been arrested on allegations of driving under the influence, speeding, and possession.
He was released soon after, but it was yet another mark on his long record. Around that time, Flav revealed on DJ Academic's talk show that during his worst drug days, he spent up to $2,600 daily on crack coke.
I was spending $2,400 to $2,600 a day for 6 years straight. You do the math.
He tried rehab twice in 2012, hoping to turn things around, but it didn't seem to help much. That same year, his violent streak resurfaced in a chilling incident involving Elizabeth Trujillo, one of his children's mothers. Police were called to their Las Vegas home in the middle of the night after an argument spiraled out of control. According to the police report, the fight started because Flav had been cheating on Trujillo. Things escalated when he grabbed her by the shoulders and arms, threw her to the ground twice, and ripped an earring from her ear. Her 17-year-old son, Gibran, tried to step in, but that only made things worse. Flav grabbed 2 knives from the kitchen, chased the teenager around the house, and allegedly threatened to off him. When Gibran and his sister locked themselves in a bedroom, Flav kicked the door down and continued making threats. Flav later admitted parts of the story but denied chasing or threatening Gibran with the knives. The irony, though, was he even managed to cut himself with one of the knives, which was clear evidence. Still, the charges weren't light. He faced a $20,000 bond and another $3,000 bond for battery. He was scheduled for a hearing later that week. But this incident was yet another example of how his personal struggles kept dragging him down. In 2021, Flav found himself in hot water again when he was arrested in Nevada for suspected domestic battery. On October 4th, police responded to a call about a domestic disturbance at a home on Prometheus Court in Henderson, a city not far from Las Vegas. When officers arrived, they took Flav into custody. At 62, he was booked on 1 count of domestic battery at the Henderson Detention Center.
Rapper Flavour Flav is in legal trouble here in the Valley. He was arrested earlier this month for a domestic violence incident. That is according to TMZ.
Flav's lawyers, David Chesnoff and Richard Schoenfeld, stayed tight-lipped about the situation, telling the media that domestic violence cases usually have 2 sides to the story and that they'd save their arguments for the courtroom.
His attorney says that there are 2 sides to the story and they will, quote, explain it to the judge and not the media.
Fortunately for Flav, things didn't escalate too badly this time. By December, he had pleaded no contest to a lesser charge of non-violent misdemeanor coercion. He admitted to taking a cell phone during the incident, paid $640 in fines, and avoided jail time. Interestingly, during this turbulent year, Flav was also reportedly working on staying sober. He was allegedly steering clear of drugs and alcohol, which had been a major issue for him in the past. He had also stepped away from the entertainment industry entirely, staying mostly out of the spotlight. Until this incident, of course. But even before this, Flav had already been dealing with some public fallout. In 2020, his label announced that he was being dropped from Public Enemy, a move many fans thought was tied to his criminal record and struggles with substance abuse. However, Flav wasn't one to take that news lying down. He fired back, saying he and Chuck D had founded Public Enemy as equals, and no one could just kick him out.
Public Enemy is only Public Enemy when myself and Chuck D is together. But when Chuck D is by himself, he's not Public Enemy. When I'm by myself, I'm not Public Enemy. Whole group by itself. He owns it along with me, so he can't fire me, and I can't fire him.
Chuck D later confirmed that the announcement about Flav being dropped was actually a stunt, but Flav wasn't having it. He claimed he hadn't been clued in on the hoax and didn't want any part in those kinds of games. Despite the friction, Flav and Chuck haven't released new music together in a while. Still, Flav had stayed busy popping up on tracks with other artists and making headlines, not always for the right reasons. Between his occasional legal troubles and hefty fines, it seems like Flav has has a knack for staying in the news, even when he's trying to keep a low profile. Lately, it seems like he's been trying to turn things around. Following reports of him being in his sober phase, he's mended fences with most of his baby mamas, which is a big step considering all the drama over the years. That piece has also trickled down to his relationships with his kids. In a heartwarming moment back in 2021, Flav spent Father's Day with his children, celebrating not just the day but also his sobriety, a major milestone in his life. Fast forward to 2023, and Flav has been making moves that no one really saw coming. He's been dipping his toes into both career and academic waters, showing the world he's more than just the wild hype man we know him to be. In a surprising turn, he even was invited to Harvard, where he donated one of his famous clock necklaces.
Keep it real, all the way to my grave. I had a good time here at Harvard. You know what I'm saying? Nice to meet all of y'all. I do have a clock that I want to present to you guys. Obviously, it hasn't arrived yet. So what I'm going to do is something special that I don't do. I'm going to take this clock right here off of my neck. I'm going to donate it to you guys.
Flav took the stage to school students on the roots of hip-hop culture, a topic he's lived and breathed for decades. In a clip that made the rounds online, you can see him breaking it all down for the students. He even managed to tie in Emily Dickinson's 1896 poem, A Clock Stopped, with the art of writing bars in rap. Leave it to Flav to find a way to make poetry from the 1800s relevant to hip-hop. It's the kind of twist only he could pull off. And let's not forget, Flav isn't just winging it in academic spaces. He actually has a master's degree, which might surprise a lot of folks who only know him for his larger-than-life persona and reality TV stunts. It's proof that beneath all the chaos and controversy, there's a man who can hold his own in spaces people wouldn't expect him to be in. So while his past may be filled with ups and downs and some pretty wild stories, Flav seems to be finding new ways to keep things interesting, and maybe even inspiring, whether he's reconnecting with his family, staying sober, or standing in front of a room full of Ivy League students. He's showing that it's never too late to rewrite your story. It looks like Flavour Flav might just be gearing up for a return to the music scene too. Fans couldn't be more excited to hear this news. Word has it that Flav has reconnected with Chuck D, and while there was never any official confirmation of a fallout, it seems the two are back in sync and possibly working on a new Public Enemy album after years of silence. What's even more exciting is their ambitious plan to harness the power of AI to make their music accessible in over 27 languages. Flav, inspired by his Harvard lecture experience, pitched the idea, and Chuck D saw the potential to ride the AI wave, while Flav's name was lighting up headlines again. But the comeback isn't the only way Flav's been making noise lately. In 2024, he found himself in the spotlight for a surprising and inspiring reason. Flav stepped up as the sponsor for the American women's water polo team at the Olympics, making headlines as the unlikeliest hero of the games. He didn't stop there. Flav extended his support to Olympic track and field athletes and even backed uni swimmer and Paralympian Olivia Chambers. When Olivia's mom set up a GoFundMe to cover the family's travel expenses to Paris, Flav jumped in to give it a boost, sharing the fundraiser on social media with a heartfelt message. Flav's knack for stepping into unexpected roles didn't end with sports. Earlier in the year, when Red Lobster faced bankruptcy, Flav took it upon himself to lend a helping hand in his signature over-the-top style. He ordered what seemed like the entire menu, Cheddar Bay biscuits included, and shared the epic spread on Instagram. "Ya boy said he was gonna do everything to help Red Lobster and save the Cheddar Bay biscuits," he wrote, showing off the feast that could feed a small army. The gesture went viral, further cementing Flav's reputation as someone who's all heart. Honored Olympic gymnast Jordan Chiles with a custom bronze clock, a nod to her perseverance amidst controversy. "Heyo Jordan, I know they trying to take your medal away from you, but you know what? I got you something they can't take away from you," Flav said as he placed the clock around her neck. Flavour Flav has come a long way from being the guy who was always making headlines for arrests, addiction struggles, and his larger-than-life antics. These days, he's rewriting his story in the best way possible, turning chaos into calm and mistakes into lessons. Sobriety has been a total game changer for him. It's given him a chance to rebuild what really matters, like reconnecting with his family and showing his kids that he's serious about being in their lives.
What's going on, man?
We feel like you should get help, some type of, whether that's going to rehab, talking to somebody professionally. So either you're gonna come with us or like,
We gonna take you.
or we gonna have to take you.
I love y'all.
Moments like hanging out with them on Father's Day aren't just photo ops, they're proof that Flav is genuinely putting in the effort to heal those relationships and show up for the people who matter most. Fans, who have always loved him for his energy and charm, are now seeing a whole new side of him. He's not just the wild hype man with the giant clock anymore. He's someone who's proving that you can overcome anything if you're willing to put in the work. Whether he's supporting Olympic athletes, helping save a beloved restaurant chain like Red Lobster, or jumping into creative projects like an AI-powered music album, Flav reconnecting with Chuck D and teasing a new Public Enemy album is the perfect full-circle moment, showing he's leaving the past behind and proving he's more than his mistakes. His transformation is a reminder that it's never too late to turn things around and make a difference. Flavour Flav has gone from being a figure of controversy to one of resilience and redemption, showing us all the power of second chances. Honestly, it's hard not to root for his comeback.